Things that I really want to speak to you about, Satishji, is your infamous walk. So that your walk that you did from Mumbai to Washington, D.C. And this was all to do with a peaceful pilgrimage, the walk that you did for the nuclear weapons that was happening in the four major cities of the world, Paris, London, Washington, and Moscow. So please, Satishji, tell us about the walk, why you did it. And I think it's important because your new book has just come out, which is all about your walk. So please, Satishji, tell us about it.
Thank you. My book is called Pilgrimage for Peace, The Long Walk from India to Washington, D.C. Actually, my walk was from New Delhi to Washington. I started from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi in Rajghat, and I ended at the grave of John F. Kennedy at Arlington in Washington, D.C. From grave to grave, to make the point that if we believe in violence, if we believe in the gun, then gun does not kill only the bad people. A gun can also kill a Gandhi, a Martin Luther King, or a John F. Kennedy. So we should not trust the gun and we should not trust violence. So my journey was for peace. It was a peace pilgrimage. And I started because at that time, it was the height of Cold War. And I wanted to protest against the nuclear weapons. And so I started with the inspiration of Mahatma Gandhi as an apostle of nonviolence. And I said that I will go without any money in my pocket.
Wow.
I will depend on the hospitality and generosity of the strangers. And so I walked around the world for 2.5 years, 8,000 miles, without any money in my pocket. And for 2.5 years, I did not touch money. It was always like a Jain Muni or like a monk. I was depending on the hospitality of people. And I went through Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Russia, all the way to Moscow. Then I went from Russia to Belarus, Poland, Germany, Belgium, France. And then I, of course, with the hospitality of the French people, I crossed the channel. And then I walked from Dover to London, and from London to Southampton. And then I took a boat from Southampton to New York, and with the hospitality of the British people. And then I walked from New York to Washington. And then I was invited from Japan. So I went to Tokyo, and then I walked from Tokyo to Hiroshima, another 45 days. And then I took a boat with the hospitality of the Japanese people back to India. So altogether, 2.5 years of journey for peace.
That is sensational. And how were you when you came back? Because that 2.5 years walking across the world, firstly, did you know it's going to take you this long? And secondly, how were you when you came back?
Yes, I did know that it will take that long, because walking around the world is a long journey and going on foot. And I was a bit worried. How am I going to make it? Such a long journey. But then I stopped worrying and I said, the long journey of thousands of miles begins with one step. So I will not worry about the long journey. I will take step by step, day by day. Everything happens in life step by step and day by day. We cannot change things overnight. We cannot do anything overnight. So we live day by day. So that was my resolve. So I did not think about long journey. I only thought about today I'm going to walk 15 miles or 20 miles, and that's it. And then I'll meet people. I will talk about peace, talk about nonviolence, talk about Mahatma Gandhi, and all those things. So that was my thing. And what I felt in my heart, that I am going around the world for peace and without money. So the trust is the most valuable quality and the most valuable possession that I can have. Trust myself, trust people, trust the universe, and trust the future. And when you have a trust in your heart, then you drop the fear. Because fear leads to war. Trust leads to peace. If you want to have peace in the world, then people have to trust themselves and trust their neighbors, trust other countries. When you fear other countries, you prepare for war. So peace and fear cannot go together. So how do I demonstrate that I trust? By not having money, I make myself vulnerable and I make myself trustful, and I have to trust people that they will feed me and they will give me shelter for the night. And that trust was my wealth. That trust was my treasure. That trust was my checkbook. That trust was my Visa card.
Wow.
With that trust, I walked around the world.
That is simply incredible. And I know you said something about Jain Muni, and obviously from being from the Jain faith, I know that Jain Munis in India and back in the day, they just walk around, they don't have anything, and they ask people for food and they ask people for that. And I know your background was as somebody that was a Jain monk for your early childhood. Do you think that experience helped you in your journey across the world?
Yes, it did. Because from the age of 9 to 18, when I was a Jain monk, I was walking bare feet and living without any money for 9 years. So I knew in my experience that one can live on the generosity of the strangers, and you don't have to have money, and you can go with your 2 feet anywhere you want to go, and you can walk and you can reach everywhere. So in India, as a Jain monk, I walked all around Rajasthan, all around Uttar Pradesh, to Delhi. I walked all around the Punjab. And so I had walked thousands of miles in 9 years as a monk. And so I had that experience. Also, I had that training, the 9 years of training as a monk, living very simple life, bare feet and begging bowl and nothing more. So the elegant simplicity that I talk about was learned as a Jain monk.
Wow, beautiful.